The transfer window has officially closed, and after 31 days of intense speculation, the signings of Trossard and Kivior, Arsenal have signed a new midfielder. Enter the Emirates, Chelsea's Jorginho, and today we'll break down all the details behind the deal, find out why exactly Arsenal have signed him, get an update on Moses Caicedo and Declan Rice, and also discuss how all of this impacts Arsenal in their title race. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Babs14 and welcome back to your boys channel. Things have happened and we need to discuss, so as per, smash a like if you enjoy the content, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and help your boy on his road to 150,000 subscribers. But let's get straight into the confirmed Arsenal transfer news. Starting off with Albert Sambi Lokonga, a player that Arsenal fans had seemed to have lost patience with, but he could be about to get a career revival. Out of nowhere entered the scene Patrick Vieira's Crystal Palace, and they have officially announced the signing of Sambi Lokonga on a loan transfer until the end of the season. And here is Sambi alongside the Arsenal legend Mr. Paddy V, and this loan for me makes a lot of sense. Sambi Lokonga is a player that I believe does have a lot of potential. He is still only 23 years of age. He's got a decent passing range and has decent pass completion. The issue with Sambi has always been off the ball and awareness, and that's something that he can learn from experience, but it's not the profile that your team requires when you're fighting for a title. So as Ian Wright says, with someone like Sambi, he needs minutes, he needs to be playing, he needs to be able to understand and be more wary of where he is and what he needs to do and where he needs to be dropping in. Arsenal would not have sanctioned this loan unless they were guaranteed that Sambi was going to play minutes. But more importantly, Crystal Palace are a dual winning machine. They are tough, they are physical, and Patrick Vieira has drilled them to be very good defensively. This could be the perfect solution for Sambi's future. But then you have Mohamed El Neni, who recently has picked up a knee injury, and today Arsenal have confirmed that it's a significant injury to his right knee, and he has had successful surgery in London. El Neni will be ruled out for an extended period of time. With no Mohamed El Neni and Albert Sambi Lokonga on his way out, Arsenal had to sign a midfielder, and that they have done. The main target, of course, was Moses Caicedo, the player that every single Arsenal fan had their eyes on. In the morning, we had a very positive report. Jack Talbot reporting that it's his understanding that Arsenal have lodged a third bid for Moses Caicedo, a club record, a huge single payment as a lump sum, and the deal had been agreed. But as Arsenal fans, as they've always said, it's the hope that kills you. It was a false alarm. And then you had all the Brighton journalists confirm that Arsenal had given up and the deal was considered totally off, as they finally accepted Brighton's stance, and Caicedo was never going to leave in January. He will have to kick on and wait until the summer for a transfer. With Caicedo staying, it was a massive blow, but at the same time one that Arsenal would have expected. They've made offers of 60 and 70 million pounds for a player that's made less than 30 league appearances. To break your club transfer record, Brighton were not going to sell unless Arsenal offered upwards of 90, and as great as a player as he might be in the future, it is not worth that sort of money. Arsenal had to turn to an alternative, an emergency option in the last moments, and that's where entered the scene Chelsea's Italian international Jorginho, a player that Arsenal had approached the day before, and then Fabrizio Romano confirmed. Jorginho to Arsenal, here we go. Deal agreed on a £12 million fee. Chelsea have accepted the conditions and the documents are being prepared. Postal terms agreed. Contract until 2024 with an option of a further year. The first contact was made yesterday and the medical had been booked. In the space of 24 hours, Arsenal had signed their emergency option and Jorginho was an Arsenal player. Arsenal confirming it. Welcome to Arsenal, Jorginho, the brand new Arsenal number 20. Many people have many different opinions on this transfer, but as Jorginho says, Arsenal is an important shirt. It's an amazing club, a big one, and I'm really excited and happy to be here. Some Arsenal fans can't believe that we have signed him, but I can see the logic behind it. He was not the number one target, but it's very hard to sign your number one target in January. Teams do not want to lose important players in the middle of the season unless you offer a stupid amount of money. But when you're into the final hours and you haven't signed your main target, Arsenal had to sign someone. And Jorginho is a player that at 31 years of age, for only £12 million, it is not exciting, he's not Caicedo, but I do see sense. Because Mikel Arteta has always liked this profile, and as he says, Jorginho is a midfield player with intelligence, deep leadership skills, and a huge amount of Premier League and international experience. Jorginho is a player that Mikel Arteta has appreciated dating back to 2018, when he was still at Napoli, and Arteta was a coach at Man City. And as Jorginho confirms, I know that Arteta had tried to get me a few times before. It didn't happen due to other reasons, not because of my wishes. This transfer though has its positives and its negatives, so let's break it down. Jorginho ranks in the top 10% of midfielders in Europe per 90 in terms of touches, passes completed, ball recoveries, passes into the final third, progressive passes, tackles plus interceptions, and penalties converted. He's been brought in as a backup option only on a short-term contract, and if anything he's more of a replacement and an upgrade on Mohamed Elneny than the long-term competition for Thomas Partey. But with those sorts of numbers, let's not get it twisted. Jorginho does have quality, and looking into his stats radar, contrary to belief, his defensive numbers are actually pretty decent, and that is all while playing for a Chelsea team that have struggled so much with Graham Potter and an unstable system. The best of Jorginho came alongside Thomas Tuchel, a competent manager with an elite system and an environment that allows Jorginho to thrive. Having won the Champions League, the Europa League, the European Championships, the Super Cup, the Club World Cup, the Coppa Italia, has finished third place for the Ballon d'Or and was the UEFA Men's Player of the Year in 2021. The arrivals of Zinchenko and Jesus have shown, when you add winning experience, it can raise the level of the Arsenal team. Arsenal now have another player to turn to, who's played in massive games and understands the pressure. He's also a player that's Premier League proven with nearly 150 league appearances. And why that's so important is that when you sign players mid-season, you want them to adapt straight away. And Jorginho understands the league. And if we are to compare him to our other targets in Moses Caicedo, all the stats are so close. Similar in terms of touches per 90, successful passes, ball carries, tackles, and interceptions. And depending on the fitness of Thomas Partey, Jorginho might not even play that many games. But here's how he compares to Partey. He wins more tackles per 90, more interceptions, more ball recoveries, completes less passes, but has a higher forward passing percentage. When you look at those numbers there, it shows a more than competent backup player. A player that might play in the Europa League, but more or less is going to be a finisher. When Arsenal need to kill off a game, Jorginho is a very good ball distributor, and bringing him off the bench, it will allow Arsenal to slow games down, keep the ball, and ultimately see games out. Ex-Arsenal player Paul Merson says, "I think Jorginho is outstanding business. We are buying experience as well as he's won big trophies. For me, in this day of age of transfers, I'd call it a cup of tea at £12 million. And on the concerns of Jorginho's slow tempo, Merson says, sometimes that needs to happen at Arsenal. You can't be playing at 100 miles per hour. Sometimes you've got to slow the pace down, give people breathers, and play the game at your own pace. There is no denying Jorginho certainly has La Pausa in his game. The weakness of Jorginho is covering big distances. He's got a real lack of pace, and that may leave him vulnerable, but need I remind you, Arsenal have a top tactical setup, and when you have physical monsters like Gabriel and Saliba, if there's any team in the league that has the player and personnel to minimise the weaknesses and put him in an environment to thrive, it's under Mikel Arteta. During Arteta's time at Man City as assistant coach, there are teams that want to play with a single defensive midfielder, but not City. Other teams that role is not as defined, and we are losing the ideal of having one who plays there, the Jorginho or Busquets type. That I love. Comparing him to Sergio Busquets, an all-time great midfielder, Mikel Arteta has always seen something in Jorginho, and even though there are many unhappy Arsenal fans, we've seen this in the past. The signings of Aaron Ramsdale, Ben White were seen as controversial at the time. Fast forward to 2023, and those exact players have us fighting for the Premier League title. Mikel Arteta has a proven talent ID, and it's not a level-raising signing, but it improves the squad depth. Ask yourself the question, is he an improvement on Samuel Lokonga and Mohamed Elneny? This transfer is going to be controversial, and I can see why because of Arsenal's history of signing Chelsea players. But what do you guys make of this transfer? And for £12 million, do you believe it's shrewd business, or do you believe Arsenal have made the wrong signing? But as David Ornstein says, this is seen as a short-term signing which won't have an impact on Arsenal's ability to sign a potentially very high-value central midfielder in the summer. By making the move for Moses Caicedo, Arsenal are trying to fast-forward a summer target, and by only spending £12 million on Jorginho, it allows Arsenal to go massive again in the summer. According to Dame Chef, Arsenal will likely try to sign Moses Caicedo and Declan Rice in the summer. Caicedo is going to be available in the summer, and likewise is Declan Rice, but Arsenal will have stern competition. Chelsea might have just signed Enzo Fernandez, but Todd Bowley's unpredictable. You also might have Man United, maybe Liverpool. I definitely believe the main target has to be Declan Rice. Arsenal have shown that they have the funds, and I believe Arsenal have to act quick, and if it's possible, like we have seen Chelsea do, you can agree transfers even before the window is open. What midfielders do you believe Arsenal need to sign in the summer, and out of Rice and Caicedo, which player do you believe needs to be our priority? Now let's talk about AC Milan's Rafael Leao. According to reports in Italy, talks have totally broken down between Rafael Leao and AC Milan over a new contract, as the players camp want to change his release clause from €150 million to 70 to 80. Leao is a ready-made superstar, and Arsenal are in need of level raises, but AC Milan have responded straight away, and they have denied the report straight away. The deal is still being negotiated, but ultimately, if there is to be a release clause, despite the arrival of Leandro Trossard, do you guys believe Arsenal should make a move for Rafael Leao in the summer? Moving on to the other other done deals. Arsenal's 19-year-old Brazilian wonder kid Marquinhos is on his way to the Championship, as David Wagner's Norwich City have announced his signing on loan until the end of the season, and I believe this loan makes a lot of sense. Marquinhos is a player that, just like Sambi Lokonga, needs experience, physical development, and the Championship is the perfect league for it. We've seen the development of Charlie Patino and even the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe in the past. As long as Marquinhos gains the experience, this could be a fantastic loan transfer. Arsenal have also loaned out 2 more youngsters, as Keano Taylor-Hart and Billy Vigor are joining Championship side Derby County. Now, in the case of Taylor-Hart, he was seen as the next best thing, but he's rarely featured for the Arsenal under-23s, and he's out of contract at the end of next season. This could be a defining loan spell. Then you have Cedric Suarez, who Fulham had been negotiating to sign on a loan transfer until the end of the season, and now that deal is all completed. Fabrizio Romano says Fulham will cover Cedric's full salary until the end of the season. A loan deal with no option to buy, but reportedly on £100,000 a week. When you've got Ben White and you got Tomiyasu, there was no longer a need for Cedric Suarez. And he was never special, but I do believe he was decent, and I do want to wish him the best of luck at Fulham. But letting go of Sambi Lokonga and Elneny injured, despite the arrival of Jorginho, some people are questioning, do Arsenal have a lack of midfield options? I believe Mikel Arteta is putting a lot of faith in Emil Smith-Rowe and Fabio Vieira, especially in ESR. I believe his future is to play in midfield as a number 8 on the left-hand side, especially in the Europa League. He could be an alternative option to Granit Xhaka. But moving on to the other Arsenal news today, and a bit of rival transfer news, as Man City, the team that Arsenal are fighting for the title, having lost João Cancelo, they also could have lost Bernardo Silva, who had made clear he also wanted to leave Man City and he wanted to go to Barcelona. The deal was unable to be completed, but at the same time it signals yet another player, an integral player to Guardiola's team, that seems unhappy. Things aren't rosy behind the scenes and something seems like it's brewing. Arsenal now have to take full advantage and try to pull away in the title race. But after missing out on Mudryk and Caicedo, some fans are questioning, why can't Arsenal get big deals over the line? Arsenal put the money forward, but both of the transfers had different circumstances. One side you had Todd Bowley and then you had Tony Bloom. Ultimately in January, to sign a big quality player when teams don't want to let go of their best players, it's near impossible. It's more a window of market opportunities, and that is why all 3 of our signings have been of a similar ilk. And it's more over to the summer, and that is where you address your main issues, where you sign your main targets, because that is when players are actually available. So there you guys have it, all of Arsenal's January signings, Trossard, Kiwior and Jorginho, for just over £52 million. There are very much contrasting opinions in the Arsenal community, but there's one thing for sure, Arsenal have improved their squad. And as you guys can see now, our first team is just as strong as ever, and the bench is looking decent. Turner, Kiwior, Tomiyasu, Tierney, Jorginho, Smith-Rowe, Vieira, Trossard and Nketiah, and you can't forget the likes of Holding and Nelson. The question now becomes, is that team able to go and win the Premier League title? And also with the arrivals of Jorginho, who thrives in European football, do we now have the squad depth to also attack the Europa League? I'll leave it for you guys to answer down below in the comments. Rate the window out of 10. And next up for Arsenal, it's Everton at Goodison Park with a brand new manager in Sean Dyche. It's not going to be easy, but in the title race, nothing is ever simple. But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, go down there and smash a like, and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was Transfers FC for January 2023. The support has been sensational, and Arsenal have 3 new signings, Leandro Trossard, Jakub Kiwior and Jorginho. Can we win the title? We're gonna find out, so stay tuned. I'll see you next time. Take care my friends, and in a bit.